Imagine waking up tomorrow and forgetting your own name. Not just your name, your parents' names, your friends' names, everyone's names, every single person on Earth. What would happen? Keep that thought, because that's exactly what happened in the city of Valemir. And it began with a bell. A single bell ringing at midnight. Dong! 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 17-year-old Elias Voss woke instantly. Something felt wrong. Very wrong. The sound wasn't coming from outside. It was coming from inside his head. Dong! Again. Louder. Elias sat up. His room was dark, silent, empty. Then he noticed something strange, a piece of paper on his bedside table. He had never seen it before. Written in shaky handwriting were 3 words: "Don't forget yourself." Elias frowned. What? A cold chill ran through him because he recognized the handwriting. It was his own. The next morning, the city was in chaos. Absolute chaos. People stood in streets screaming. Parents couldn't recognize children. Teachers couldn't call attendance. Police officers couldn't identify anyone. Hospitals were overwhelmed. Nobody remembered a single name. Not one. And the strangest part? Every document in existence had changed. Birth certificates, passports, school records, photographs. Every name had vanished, as if names had never existed. Elias stared at the television. The news anchor looked terrified. Authorities are calling this event the Silence. No explanation has been found. Then the broadcast cut out. The screen turned black, and a face appeared. A pale face. Watching. Smiling. The screen immediately returned to normal, but Elias had seen it, and he knew one thing. That face had been looking directly at him. That afternoon, Elias found someone else who remembered, or at least partially remembered. She was sitting alone on the roof of an abandoned library. Silver hair, dark coat, sharp eyes. Waiting, as though she already knew he was coming. "You're late." Elias stopped. "Do I know you?" The girl laughed. "That's the problem." Silence. "What do you mean?" The girl held up a notebook. Inside were hundreds of names. Thousands. Every page filled, but the ink was fading. Letter by letter, word by word, disappearing. The names are dying. Elias blinked. Names can't die. The girl slowly looked up, and for the first time, she looked afraid. They can, because something is eating them. A sudden gust of wind swept across the rooftop. The notebook slammed shut, and from somewhere deep below the city, a bell rang. Dong! Elias froze. The same bell, the one from his dream. The girl stood instantly. "We need to leave." "Why?" Her face turned pale. "Because it knows you heard it." "Who?" The girl's voice became barely a whisper. "The Nameless King." The sky darkened. Every shadow in the city stretched, and for one brief second, everyone's shadow pointed toward the same place, an ancient black tower, a tower that had never existed before, a tower standing in the middle of the city, a tower nobody remembered seeing yesterday. And at its highest window, someone was watching Elias. someone smiling, someone holding a book with his name written on the cover. The Black Tower stood in the middle of Valamir. Impossible, terrifying, ancient. Yesterday, it hadn't existed. Today, it dominated the entire skyline. No roads led to it. No records mentioned it. No one remembered building it. Yet, there it stood, watching, waiting. And at its highest window, a figure continued smiling, holding the book with Elias's name written across its cover. We are absolutely not going in there. The silver-haired girl folded her arms. Elias looked at her. You know what's inside? No? Then how do you know it's dangerous? She stared at the tower. Because everything connected to the Nameless King is dangerous. The bell rang again. Dong. The ground trembled. People throughout the city suddenly stopped walking, stopped talking, stopped moving. For one terrifying moment, everyone looked toward the tower at exactly the same time. Then, everything returned to normal, as if nothing had happened. You saw that? Unfortunately. The girl grabbed Elias's arm. We need answers. Inside? Inside. And together, they entered the tower. The door opened silently, too silently. No creak, no sound, nothing. Beyond it stretched an enormous hall. Its walls were covered in portraits, thousands of portraits, men, women, children, entire families. But every face was blank. No eyes, no mouths, no features, only smooth skin, as though someone had erased their identities. Elias felt sick. Who are they? The girl's expression darkened. People who were forgotten. Forgotten by who? Everyone. Silence. Then, Elias noticed something. One portrait wasn't blank. One face remained. A young boy, dark hair, gray eyes, 17 years old. His breath caught. That's me! A slow clap echoed through the hall. Clap, clap, clap. Someone emerged from the shadows. An old man, tall, thin, dressed entirely in black. His eyes were silver, like mirrors. Excellent, he smiled. You found your portrait. The immediate girl stepped in front of Elias. Who are you? The old man bowed. The librarian. That's not a name. The old man laughed. None of us have names anymore. A cold silence followed. Where's the Nameless King? The librarian stopped smiling. Everywhere. That's not an answer. It's the only answer. The old man pointed upward, toward the highest floor of the tower. He's waiting. For what? The librarian's silver eyes locked onto Elias. For him. The tower grew stranger as they climbed. Books floated through the air. Whispers emerged from empty rooms. Shadows moved against the direction of light. And everywhere, names. Millions of names, written across walls, across ceilings, across staircases, all fading, slowly disappearing, like dying stars. Finally, they reached the highest chamber. And there it was, the book, resting upon a black throne. The cover glowed faintly, 3 words written in silver. Elias Voss. The only complete name they had seen all day. The only name left. "Why is it still here?" the silver-haired girl whispered. No one answered, because the throne wasn't empty. Someone sat upon it. A king, tall, pale, wearing a crown made of broken letters, a crown constantly changing shape as though language itself had shattered, and his eyes were completely black. The king smiled. "Welcome back." Elias froze. "Back? You've taken longer this time." A chill raced through the room. "What do you mean?" The king tilted his head. "You really don't remember." "Remember what?" The king pointed toward the book. "Read it." The silver-haired girl immediately stepped forward. "Don't." "Why not?" "Because that's exactly what he wants." The Nameless King laughed. "Perhaps. Or perhaps it's what he needs." Silence. The book waited. The king waited. The tower itself seemed to wait. And then Elias made a choice. He opened the book. The room vanished. The tower vanished. Reality vanished. And suddenly, Elias stood somewhere else, a place he had never seen, yet somehow remembered. A circular room, a giant bell hanging from the ceiling, a younger version of himself standing beneath it, perhaps 7 years old, and beside him, the Nameless King. Not as a king, not as a monster, as a man, kind, smiling, teaching him. Again, the young Elias touched the bell. It rang. Dong! The memory shattered. Elias stumbled backward, his heart hammering. "No, that's impossible." The Nameless King slowly stood. For the first time, he looked sad. Very sad. "Now you understand." "Understand what?" The king's black eyes met his. "You didn't lose your memories." Silence. "They were your memories." "What?" "You helped create me." The bell rang again, louder than ever. Dong! The tower shook, the city shook, the sky cracked, and far above the clouds, a gigantic eye slowly began opening, watching the world, watching Elias, watching the Nameless King. And the king whispered 4 words that changed everything. "The bell maker has awakened." The gigantic eye continued opening above the world, larger than mountains, larger than clouds, larger than imagination itself. People across Valamir fell to their knees, not because they wanted to, because something ancient was watching, something impossible, something that should never have awakened. "The bell maker." The Nameless King's voice trembled, actually trembled, for the first time since Elias had met him. "Who is the bell maker?" The king stared upward. "The one who made names." Silence. "What?" "Before the bell maker," the king looked around the chamber, "nobody had names." "That's ridiculous." "Is it?" The bell suddenly rang again. Dong! The tower shook violently, and reality fractured. Pages burst from the book, hundreds, thousands, swirling around Elias like a storm, and every page contained memories, his memories, memories that had been stolen, memories he had forgotten. One page struck his chest. The vision began instantly. Elias stood in a city unlike anything he had ever seen. Golden towers, silver streets, countless bells hanging from every building, some small, some gigantic, one larger than a palace. The people were happy, peaceful, laughing, and standing at the center of it all was a man, tall, kind-faced, wearing robes covered with glowing symbols, the bell maker. Every name is a gift, the bell maker smiled at a crowd of children, because a name tells the universe that you matter. The children laughed. The memories shifted. Years passed, decades passed. The city prospered. Then one day, the bell maker heard something, a voice, not from the city, not from the sky, from beyond reality. "Ring the final bell." The bell maker froze. "Who's there?" The voice laughed. "Someone older than names." The memory shattered. Elias returned to the tower, breathing hard. "That voice!" The Nameless King nodded. "The bell maker heard it years." "What was it?" The king hesitated. "Nobody knows." But eventually, the king's eyes darkened. He listened. Another memory burst from the book. This one was worse, much worse. The bell maker stood before the largest bell in existence, the final bell. A bell the size of a mountain, covered with names, millions of names, perhaps billions, every name ever given. The mysterious voice whispered again, "Ring it." The bell maker's hand trembled. "Why?" "Because I want to wake up." Silence. The bell maker understood. The voice wasn't asking. It was trapped, imprisoned, sleeping, and the final bell was the key. "No." The bell maker stepped back. The voice laughed. "Then I'll find someone else." The memory darkened. The city changed. Years passed, and eventually a young apprentice arrived, a gifted child, a curious child, a boy fascinated by bells, a boy fascinated by names, a boy named Elias. The present Elias stumbled backward. "No!" The memory continued. Young Elias worked beside the bell maker, learned from him, admired him, trusted him, and one night, when nobody was watching, the mysterious voice found him. "Hello, Elias." The child froze. "Who are you?" "A friend." The voice sounded kind, gentle, comforting, exactly the way evil things often do. "Would you like to know a secret?" Young Elias nodded, and that single nod changed everything. The vision exploded. The bell maker stood in ruins, the city burning, names disappearing, chaos everywhere, and before him stood Elias, not the Elias of today, older, corrupted, changed. Black letters crawled across his skin. His eyes glowed with strange light, and beside him stood another figure, a figure made entirely of shadows. The thing from beyond reality, the thing trapped behind the final bell. "What have you done?" the bell maker shouted. Corrupted Elias looked horrified. "I didn't know. None of us ever do." The shadow creature smiled. Then it reached into reality and stole something. Not gold, not power. Names. Millions of names, tearing them from existence, feeding on them, growing stronger. The bellmaker fought. The city fought. Everyone fought. But they were losing. Then someone made a sacrifice. The memory suddenly blurred, distorted, hidden, as though reality itself didn't want Elias to see what happened next. "No!" The Nameless King looked terrified. "Don't watch this part." "Why?" The king's voice broke. "Because this is where I die." The tower shook violently. The giant eye above the world opened fully. A scream echoed across reality. And far beyond the clouds, a colossal bell began descending from the heavens. A bell so large it blocked out the sun. The final bell, returning after centuries, returning to finish what had started. And carved into its golden surface were 4 horrifying words. "The Bellmaker remembers everything." People everywhere stopped moving, stopped speaking, stopped breathing, because somewhere deep inside their souls, they remembered. Not names, not faces. Fear. Ancient fear. The fear of something returning. The Nameless King grabbed Elias. "We have to leave." "No." "Elias, tell me the truth." The tower shook. Cracks raced across the walls. Books exploded into pages. The giant eye above the world stared directly at them, watching, waiting. "Tell me how you died." Silence. The Nameless King's face darkened. Then he sighed. "Very well." The final hidden memory opened. The ruined city burned. Names vanished from reality. The shadow creature devoured them, growing larger, stronger, hungrier. The Bellmaker stood before the final bell, bleeding, exhausted, losing. And beside him stood young Elias, terrified, broken, crying. "I'm sorry." The child couldn't stop saying it. "I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry." The Bellmaker knelt beside him. "Listen to me. I ruined everything." "No." "I did." "No." The Bellmaker smiled sadly. "You made a mistake. There's a difference." The shadow creature roared. Reality cracked around them. Entire pieces of existence began disappearing. Stars vanished. Mountains vanished. Names vanished. The universe itself was unraveling. There isn't enough time. The Bellmaker looked toward the final bell, then toward Elias, and suddenly, he made a decision. The Bellmaker placed a hand on Elias's forehead. Golden light erupted. Millions of memories surged into the boy. Knowledge, names, histories, entire civilizations, everything. "What are you doing?" young Elias screamed. The Bellmaker's smile never faded. "Giving you a chance." "For what?" The Bellmaker looked toward the shadow creature. "To fix my mistake." Then he did something impossible. He rang the final bell. Dong! The sound shattered reality. Dong! The shadow creature screamed. Dong! Time itself stopped. Everything froze. Everything except Elias and the Bellmaker. Listen carefully. The Bellmaker's body was beginning to disappear, breaking apart into golden dust. The creature feeds on names. Then how do we stop it? The Bellmaker's eyes filled with tears. By taking away its food. The truth hit like lightning. No! The Bellmaker nodded. Yes. You erased the names. I erased every name in existence. Silence. Not to hurt the world, to save it. The final bell rang one last time. Dong. And the bell maker vanished. Gone. Forever. The memory continued. Young Elias stood alone, carrying every memory, every secret, every burden. The only person left who remembered the truth. Years passed. Decades passed. Centuries passed. The burden changed him, twisted him, hardened him, until eventually the boy became a king, the Nameless King. Not a villain, a guardian, a jailer, a lonely protector carrying a secret too heavy for one soul. The memory shattered. Back in the tower, Elias couldn't speak. You were me. The Nameless King nodded. I am what became of you. Silence. Then who am I? The king looked away, because this was the hardest truth. You are what's left. What? Before I became the king, I split myself. The tower trembled. I separated my hope, my kindness, my humanity, and I hid it. The king's black eyes met Elias's. I hid it inside a new life. Elias felt cold, very cold. Me. The king nodded. You. The silver-haired girl gasped because she finally understood. You're not his descendant. You're not his student. You're not chosen. Silence. You are the Nameless King. The final bell suddenly struck the clouds. Dong! The entire world shook. The giant eye above the sky opened completely, and something finally emerged from it. A hand. A colossal hand, larger than mountains, made entirely of living darkness. The thing trapped beyond the bell. The thing that had whispered to Elias centuries ago. The thing that had started everything. Then a voice echoed across existence. The same voice, the voice from the beginning, the voice older than names. At last. The sky cracked from horizon to horizon, and the being spoke its name, the first true name anyone had heard in centuries, a name so ancient that reality trembled hearing it. I am Oblivion. One final question. Imagine you could remove all pain, all grief, all heartbreak, all loss, forever. The price? You would also lose every happy memory, every friendship, every dream, every person you ever loved. Would you accept? Keep your answer, because Elias was about to make that exact choice. The words echoed through every world. People collapsed, mountains cracked, oceans churned, even the final bell trembled, because Oblivion was older than names, older than memory, older than existence itself. Before names, its voice rolled like thunder. Before stories, the stars dimmed. Before life, silence. there was peace. No, a voice answered. Not Elias, the Nameless King. There was nothing. Oblivion laughed, a terrible laugh. And what is wrong with nothing? The question lingered, dangerous, tempting. Nothing suffers, nothing fears, nothing dies. People throughout the world listened, and many wanted to believe, because pain is heavy, loss is heavy, life is heavy. Join me. Oblivion stretched out his hand. Let everything rest. No more grief, no more loneliness, no more pain. The offer felt wonderful, terrifyingly wonderful. Then Elias stepped forward. You forgot something. Oblivion paused. What? No more love. Silence. No more laughter. No more courage. No more hope. The giant being said nothing, because it couldn't. Those things had never mattered to it. The silver-haired girl suddenly stepped forward. For the first time, the final bell reacted to her. Golden light erupted around her. The Nameless King's eyes widened. Impossible. What? The girl smiled sadly. You finally remembered. Her appearance changed. Silver light covered her body. Ancient symbols appeared around her. The air itself seemed to recognize her. Who are you? Elias whispered. The girl looked at him, with tears in her eyes. I'm the bellmaker's daughter. Silence. What? My name was the first one erased. The final bell rang. Dong. To save the world. Dong. My father erased even me. Dong. The truth hit like a storm. The bellmaker had sacrificed everything, even the memory of his own child. My name protected the seal. Golden light spread across the sky, and now it's returning. The Nameless King stepped beside Elias. For the first time, the two stood together, past and future, hope and burden, boy and king. It's time, the king smiled. I know. Are you afraid? The king laughed softly, terrified. Then he held out his hand. One last time. Elias stared, then nodded, and took it. Light exploded across reality. The two Eliases merged, not consumed, not destroyed, united. Every memory returned, every lesson, every loss, every hope, everything. And for the first time in centuries, the Nameless King was whole. The final bell began glowing, brighter, 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 until another figure appeared, made of golden light. A familiar figure, the bellmaker. Not alive, not dead. A memory, a legacy, a final gift. Well done. Tears filled Elias's eyes. Master. The bellmaker smiled. You chose correctly. Oblivion roared. The entire sky darkened. Reality began collapsing. The end had arrived, unless someone made a choice. The bellmaker looked toward Elias. Names give meaning. He looked toward his daughter. Memories give meaning. He looked toward the world. Stories give meaning. The final bell descended into Elias's hands, smaller now, A bell meant for one person, one choice, one final ring. What happens if I ring it? The bellmaker smiled. The future chooses itself. Silence. Then Elias rang the bell. Dong! The sound traveled everywhere, across mountains, across oceans, across stars, across time. And suddenly, names returned. Millions of them, billions. Every forgotten name, every forgotten story, every forgotten person. The world remembered. Parents remembered children, friends remembered friends, families remembered families. The lost returned, not physically, but in memory, where they belonged. And Oblivion? For the first time, it heard something it had never understood. Laughter. A child laughing, then another, then thousands, millions, across every world, across every life, across every story. Oblivion hesitated, confused. Then slowly, it smiled. Not cruelly, not angrily, sadly, as though understanding something for the first time. So that is why you continue. The darkness faded, the giant eye closed, the sky healed, and Oblivion returned to sleep. Not defeated, simply convinced to wait. Valimir flourished. Names existed again. Stories existed again. People remembered. The bellmaker's daughter became the keeper of memory, recording every forgotten tale. The final bell rested in a peaceful tower, silent, waiting. And Elias? He became known by a new title. Not king, not hero, not savior. The rememberer. The one who carried stories forward. The one who understood that pain and joy belonged together. The one who taught the world a simple truth, that forgetting suffering is easy, remembering hope is harder, and therefore more important. Sometimes, on quiet nights, a bell could still be heard in the distance, soft, gentle, comforting, and those who listened carefully swore they heard a familiar voice. Tell the story, so it won't be forgotten. Names matter, not because they are words, but because they remind us that someone was here. Memories matter, not because they are perfect, but because they prove we lived. Stories matter, not because they last forever, but because they are passed on. And as long as someone remembers, nothing is truly lost.